running fans, jumping fans, throwing fans, all around athletics fans. Welcome to Talking in Ovals. I'm Alex Cuesta, my partner in crime over there, pimping out his brand new swag from Manasquan, Dave Hyatt. What's going on, brother?
I gotta say, I was very, very happy and impressed with the U.S. distance runners at World Championships.
Ooh.
Unreal. I mean, to win the 3K in the women by Ellie St. Pierre, second in the 3K by Nagoose, second and third in the men's 15, second and third in the women's 15. I mean, what an
Bryce
amazing
Hoppel winning the 8.
Hoppel, yeah. Like, geez, yeah.
And I thought I second that, but I also thought it was just another great showing for Team USA. Like after
Absolutely.
dominant in outdoor worlds, it's kind of like, are we going to carry this on? Was that just a home field advantage thing? And then you go in indoor worlds, they just crush it again. So
How about Grant Holloway? He hasn't lost in 74 races. That's unbelievable. Or
I love the question that was asked to him where they're like, hey, if you have more bravado, you think corporate sponsors are coming? He's like, that's just not me. I just go out and race and do my thing. Like,
well, I mean, it's pretty pathetic that someone like that isn't worth, millions and millions of dollars. But, and then there was also the controversy with putting Noah 4x4. It was, Fred Curley was not too happy about that. So then
I like Noah. It was absolute bullshit. Bassett deserved it. I'm sorry. I like Noah. He's amazing. He's the star. Trevor Bassett was there.
I know.
The reserve. And Bassett earned the right to finish that off. And honestly, I think they might have won. I think having that guy there, not the familiarity.
That's tough, yeah.
That makes a difference there, and not knowing how to run a 4x4. We had David Verberg on the show. Very different running the relay than running individual. So
yeah, but they're going to put him on there every time.
And he wants to do outdoor. He wants to compete there. So this was kind of the, prove it. It is what it is. But
he ran 46.5. I mean, it wasn't like he went out and ran 49.
No, absolutely. So he did his thing. So let's get into the show, though. We could talk forever. So before we jump into the fun stuff, today is Monday, March 4th, 2024 for episode 78. If you like what you hear today, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars, Spotify and iTunes, spread this word of mouth. Go look for us on the socials at the Alex Cuesta Show. Last week's show, we had lots of fun. We had 2 guys from my alma mater, Manchester Township High School in Jersey, Brian Swain, Joey Kurak. They both competed at Meet of Champs this week, and we talked to them pre-Meet of Champs. Had an awesome show getting their backgrounds. Brian is a pole vaulter. Joey is a fantastic 55-meter hurdler and sprinter, and both of them showed up and showed out at Meet of Champs. Joey, 7.30, new school record, new record, resets everything in the region, takes second to a 7.18. So
he's also 4th best time in the country.
So
7.30.
Congrats to you. Brian went in, got 10th in the state. So there's no shame there. And, quickly a shout out to the rest of our former guests that ran great. Emma Zawatsky, 2nd in the 16, 3rd in the 32.
Great double.
Monster double. Peyton Hollis capping off just a great season, getting there. Probably a little disappointed, but getting to Meet of Champs, running there, and looking forward to outdoor. All great things there. I mean, we're the best. The best
field kids, you got Avery Keith getting second in the mile.
Absolutely.
Barrett, it was just unbelievable. Lilia Gordon with an amazing 3,200. I mean, what a battle that was. That to me, that was the race, or the girls 16 was the race of the meet, or the boys 8. I mean, there was so many great performances. We had kid throw 67 feet, shot put.
Yeah, lots of impressive stuff. New Jersey
showed out.
Did great. Next, hopefully we need to build a facility in New Jersey, so we don't have to have it in New York.
And shout out to the NJS. We have given them crap, but they ran a very efficient, very good meet.
Yeah, I'm judging them by outdoor meter champions. We're yet to have been seen, but
I'll give them credit.
I want to jump into this week's show because outside of that, we don't have any PRs. Our friends in Michigan, we're taking a break. So, thank you, Tom, always for always sending us some good stuff. But this week, we're starting something fun. I don't know if it's going to be all in succession, but we're doing something that, our friend of the show, Kirk Berridge, we had him on. He's the founder and starter of trackstar.me, which is an exclusive website app that is meant for track. You can put your videos, your highlights, your PRs. Coaches can go on and scout. So if you're an athlete, prospective, pro, college, whatever, go put your stuff on there. Go sign up, because do it now and become an influencer, get big. If you want to be an influencer in running, you're not going to do it on TikTok. So go to Trackstar. But we're starting something fun. The Trackstar.me 2024 Olympic Hopeful Series, where we're having on a series of individuals that are pros, that are fantastic throwers, jumpers, runners, athletes overall, that are battling to get on this 2024 Olympic team. And I am pumped to start this series off with Justin Stafford. He is a 2 times USA Track and Field National Championship finalist in the hammer throw. He competed in the 2021 Olympic trials. He's a 2-time second team All-American at UCLA, class of 2019. And now, outside of being a pro and competing, he is a volunteer assistant throws coach over at Kansas State University. Justin, what's going on?
Alex, David, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we are pumped to have you on, and we're just going to jump right into it. We're going to start the show how we started off with all of our guests. We want to get your story. We want to hear about you. So everyone has a different time and when they kind of fall in love with what they do in track, right? Like, I guess the beauty of track is it's a bunch of different sports and disciplines within one sport. When did you fall in love with being a hammer thrower?
Great question, because initially I thought it was the most ridiculous sport. But so I didn't even get started in track and field until my second semester, my senior year of high school.
I saw that.
I was mostly a football and basketball player, and my goal was to play Division I football like my dad did. My dad played at Cal Berkeley, and so really wanted to play there as well. And so, I had a decent high school football career, got recruited by a number of schools, but didn't get a Division I scholarship that I was striving toward. However, one coach who was recruiting me from Sacramento State, which they did offer me a D1 AA, and I just wasn't the right fit for me at the time. But anyway, that coach, funny enough, recruited my dad to Cal like 25 years earlier.
Wow!
And so that was kind of a cool small world connection. And so anyway, he's talking to me, and he's like, "You know what, Justin? You should go run hurdles in the off season, like just do extra speed work for football." And I was like, all right, sounds good. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. And so I remember putting down the phone and thinking, there's no way I'm going to do hurdles. Like, I had no interest, but I wanted to do high jump. I thought that was the coolest event from track. And my family, like, none of us did track and field, no knowledge whatsoever. And so anyway, I go to the track, my high school track tryouts. And so I go to the high jump. I get over the bar, but I guess my foot hit the bar. And the coach said, hey, sorry, it's a one-shot tryout, maybe try another event. So, all right, well, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. And the head coach came up to me. He's like, you should try the throwing events, being a taller, bigger guy. And I was all right, sure. And so go do shot put because a number of my friends are doing it. And then was told to go up to the discus ring. And there met my discus coach. His name was Coach Scott Kelly. And we just hit it off. And Coach Kelly is actually, he's quadriplegic from a car accident.
Wow.
However, he's extremely passionate about the throws. He threw over 55 meters at the university level. And anyway, we just hit it off. And so I really loved throwing. And it was a new experience for me because I never did individual sports. And I was on a, very talented high school football team, but, we just couldn't get over the hump of being like a 500 or so team. So whether it was like, hey, I'm playing great, or other people, maybe make a mistake, or I'm making a lot of mistakes and other people are playing fantastic. It's a team, and so with track, it's individual. So I knew that my success or my failure was solely on me. And so I was really drawn toward that, having not done individual sports before. But I started in about February throwing the discus, and then just working with Coach Kelly all the time. Like, we'd be out there for hours every day and, throwing my friends. We had an amazing time. And I ended up throwing 176 feet in about 2.5 months.
Wow.
And it's all him. Like, he's just a world-class communicator. He got me to just be in the right positions and, learn more of the rhythm, timing, and everything. And just had a great experience. But I actually got knocked out the first round of CIF final, or CIF. It's kind of like the California version for, postseason. But I get knocked out in the first round, and I was so frustrated. But I was like, "There's no way that's the end of it for me with track. Like, I love this sport now." And so from there, I was planning on playing football at the local junior college, Saddleback College in Mission Viejo, California, and my high school coach tells me, hey, you should go try the hammer as well. You should, maybe throw with the throws coach there. I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And I remember I met the throws coach there, Sean McGinley, and he had me do turns for what seemed like hours. And I don't even remember holding a hammer, but I'm just doing this, and I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Like, I want to throw the discus. This is lame. I have no interest in this. But anyway, decided to stick with it, and Coach McGinley ended up convincing me to stop football and go all in on track. Wow. And so I was like, you know what? You think I can do this thing? Like, let's do it. And again, I feel like I've just been really lucky to work with great coaches throughout my track career. But so anyway, I got great teammates at the junior college. We're working hard. And April 11th, 2015, it was the Mount Sac Relays, which is the biggest invitational for junior colleges, in the regular season. Yep. And I'm having an awesome day PRing in both the hammer and the discus, finishing as the #1 freshman in California. I'm on cloud 9. I'm like, I'm going to go, just transfer after 1 year. And I had a lift the next morning with my teammates and coach. So April 12th, it was about 10:30. I'm doing barbell box step up. So if you can imagine, you got a barbell on your back, you're stepping up onto a box. And I had 265 pounds on the bar. Whew. My last rep of my last set, I come down, it was kind of a faulty platform. I end up spraining my ankle, causing me to lose my balance, and I just lean forward, and the weight just kind of crashes me forward.
Oh.
And so it's, like you're hitting someone with a baseball bat, like just this huge crack. And I remember just like I blacked out, and I remember waking up, and I'm on the ground, the bar like rolled over my head, and my teammates are trying to pick, they're helping me up. I have so much adrenaline going on that I don't even realize it, like something really bad had happened. I knew something happened, but wasn't quite sure like what it really was. I'm like now walking around, like trying to hang on a pull-up bar, rolling out on a roller. And then my adrenaline kind of gives out, and I'm like, shoot, I can't like move my legs very well, and end up falling over. Teammates help me out, end up calling my parents, go to the hospital. Turns out I broke my back. Ugh. And 2 level 4 chance fractures in my thoracic spine. I tore all the muscles and ligaments in my lower back, and I had spinal fluid leaking amidst my internal organs.
Jesus.
And so I go from this great day winning the Mount Sac performing well at the Mount Sac Relays to then breaking my back, and doctors telling me, yeah, your career's over. It's done. We just want to make sure you're going to be able to like live normally again. And we can talk more about that, but went to, thank God, made a full recovery, and I can go into more detail about that. But then thankfully got recruited by UCLA, transferred there. I had an amazing experience at UCLA, working under Coach Frazier, had a lot of great teammates, All-Americans in multiple throwing events.
Quickly, what was that conversation like when you were recruited to UCLA? Were you kind of, with your injury, a little tentative to commit to such a, because there's a lot of pressure now. It's a big time, major program. Like, obviously, there's the benefit of having all the state-of-the-art facilities, the trainers and things like that. But like, were you ever to a point where, we'll get into more about overcoming the adversity side of it, but just mentally, were you ever to a point where you're like, is this the right move? Can I be the guy that I was after that injury? Like, was there any like trepidation of like not wanting to get there and not be able to fulfill?
Oh, all the time. Like, since the accident happened, I mean, I just had this deep driving conviction of like, yes, I know I can be great and compete well at the highest level. It's what I've always wanted to do. And yes, I have this tremendous roadblock, but it's like how, I guess to just answer your question, it was like, how can I turn this into the best thing that's ever happened to me? And how do I overcome these constant doubts and a ton of thoughts of like, can I really do this? Like, is this crazy? And it's like, dude, let's do it. Like, give it a shot. You're always going to look back knowing you gave it your best shot.
Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm always in awe of elite athletes like yourself. And we've had plenty of, elite athletes, Olympians, champions, things like that talk about these devastating injuries, right? Yeah. And overcome them. And I suffered injuries throughout my career, but I was an absolute bitch and mentally could never get over that. Like, honestly, like I hear about it. It was like, could not mentally get over that hump. Like I had some reoccurring stuff, but it's like, you hear about like people like yourself and other individuals you've had on. It's just what people need to realize. It's not just physically being elite. It's
emotional.
Mental. It is emotional. It is a support system, which I'd imagine you probably talk about, like your fantastic support system. And it's just so much more that you can have all the physical tools you want and you can have all the mental drive you want, but there's so much that goes into that. So maybe I want to jump into that a little bit. Let's talk about the adversity side of things. What were the ways that you fell down and picked yourself back up? What were your strategies that you used in order to get back from some of the things that you've struggled with?
Yeah. So again, I would say, how can I like weaponize this situation to work in my favor? And so I would think like, how can I turn this into the best thing that's ever happened to me? And it sounds crazy. I mean, I have a strong faith in God and know that, but I would say, and it's an absolute work in progress, but strong faith in God and that things are going to work out in my favor as long as, hey, I'm trusting in him and his plan and, doing the best I can through each day. But also too, just thinking, well, you want to look for inspiration. So like you mentioned, you've had handfuls and handfuls of great guests who've overcome adversity. I need to become obsessed with finding these people who have overcome something similar and using that as energy and motivation. So for me, one of my biggest inspirations was learning about Al Order, who one of the best discus throwers ever.
Absolutely.
Olympian, I think Olympic champ, maybe.
I think so.
Sorry if I'm botching that, but he was almost paralyzed in a car accident like a few years before he made his first Olympic team. And so I remember reading about him and reading about other individuals. It's like, you know what, if, you're never going to have the worst thing ever. Someone's always going to have something more difficult than you. And they're going to find, and you'll read stories of ways that they made it. So it's like, if they can do it, I can do it. I don't know how, I don't know where, when, what, but it's going to happen as long as I commit to that.
You know what, though? I think that's great because we all need to find someone who can inspire us in some way. And I think we're going to see a lot of that now with women, with someone like an Ellie St. Pierre who just had a baby one year ago, coming back, winning the worlds. Just having a baby or an injury doesn't mean that your career has to go on hold. You can come back and be stronger and even better. So I love that you brought up that, because that's a huge aspect that I don't think people actually think about, because we get so consumed with ourselves, but kind of making yourself better can be by learning from the experiences of other people.
Right. And it's like, why not you?
Absolutely.
Your whatever your adversity is, this is your opportunity to overcome it and then, be that person for others.
So I'm not going to lie, like I'm going to be the concerned mother here. I'm absolutely terrified considering you do the hammer and there's so much torque on your back, right? As you're spinning, and that weight is like, it's not like the shot or the disc where you have that in proximity. It is on a chain. You're holding it and there's a ton of torque that you have control of, but I guess in a way you don't, right? Like, so they're like, I'm terrified. And I know you're probably like, dude, stop putting this in my head. I hate you. But like, I'm terrified for you right now, just like thinking about it. It's like, but again, just the overall inspiration that, and you probably don't like hearing this, so you're an inspiration, right? You're probably not, you don't seem like the type of guy you're like, I'm not inspiring. I just go do something heavy, but you are inspiring in a way because you're not only battling to continue to do what you love, you're doing it at an extremely high level, and your aspiration is to get to the highest level and compete. So, I mean, just hearing that alone, like you're freaking awesome. So I love it. And I love what you're doing. So if someone here is listening, if we have an individual, like young athlete, college, even a pro listening here, and they're going through something right now, you talked about some of your strategies, reading up, trusting in God and things like that. Any other strategies that you use on a day-to-day, workout-to-workout basis to keep yourself mentally focused, to keep yourself positive? Because, I mean, you have a bad workout, like the negatives can start to creep up. And this just isn't even with an injury, right? This is just trying to stay focused. So any strategies, outside of the ones you mentioned that you use in order to keep yourself picking yourself up with the adversity and things like that?
Yeah. I mean, I experience that all the time. I experienced a lot of that this fall. However, I would say like you trust the body. Like, at least for me, I've been in the sport now for about 9, almost 10 years. And so I know I've put in so many good reps that it's like, hey, if you start thinking like, oh man, like, not a good practice, or maybe, hey, 2 or 3 bad practices in a row, what's going on? You trust the body. Like, as long as, you're doing the right work, your intentions are right in whatever you're working on in practice, it's going to come together. And it's not going to happen exactly how you want it to, because, everybody wants instant results.
Oh yeah.
Track and field, as you guys know, can take such a long time for even the most simplest movements to become habitual.
Yeah.
You just got to trust it.
So
go ahead, Dave.
I have a question for you. Being that you didn't start until late, like your senior of high school, do you ever, I guess that thought process could go one of two ways. You could feel, oh man, like I wish that I started sooner. I'm so far behind everyone. Or it could be like, I have so much more that I can still learn and so much better that I can get because I'm still kind of new to the sport, which, I mean, I can kind of tell by talking to you that you probably go with the latter one, but like, is there ever any like wishing that you had started earlier, or are you like, hey, I have so much more that I can learn?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I have so much more to go. I fully believe in myself that my best days are, well ahead of me. Also too, but I did have those thoughts of like, shoot, am I starting late? Like, I remember there was a guy named Gleb who threw at Kansas. I think he graduated 2020, maybe 2019 or maybe a little later, but he threw 78 meters in college, which was well over world championship standard at the time. He ended up competing at the Tokyo Olympics. He was a finalist at the 2019 world champs. And I'm like, shoot, man, I'm throwing 64 right now. Like, I got a lot of work to do. But at the same time, it's like, all right, like, hey, he put in a lot of work and his success came. And so I just got to trust that, hey, I have great coaches. I know I have the right focus and mentality, and I just love the sport. Like, it's fun for me. And so I know that as long as I just keep plugging away and keep stacking good days, good things are going to happen.
Right. I mean, so what is the main difference between, I mean, I'm sure there's tons, but between like a junior college school and a UCLA, like, was it that vast of
Yes.
can you just kind of elaborate some kind of like how it was? 'Cause, I mean, I'm just imagining, this like little like concrete patch, junior college, as a circle. And then all of a sudden you're at UCLA. By the way, there was a stud girl from New Jersey. Was she there when you were there? Alyssa Wilson?
Alyssa Wilson. Yep. Yeah, I know Alyssa very well. Yeah. So she inspired me
high school.
Oh yeah. She's, I mean, the best ever at the high school level, and, American record holder in the Hammer collegiately. She's awesome. And she was one of my, probably biggest inspirations on like doing the little things right and being disciplined in, nutrition and, sleep and all those little habits that lead to results. Like, she's on top of those. But to answer your question, so differences between junior college and UCLA, it's a whole laundry list. It seems like, I would say for me, I was fortunate because like my junior college coach, he got kids to go, from just learning the sport like myself, just as a freshman in junior college, got them to go to USC, Georgia, LSU, Oklahoma, Ivy League schools, Michigan. It was just incredible. And so, I knew I had the right coach, and he was going to help me kind of build the mindset and the skill set to, eventually succeed at the collegiate level. But overall, it is a difference because, when you're in junior college, like, hey, you're not only going to class and you want to take as many classes as kind of stacked as widespread and as fast as possible. Because, you're funding your own way. Thankfully, costs are a lot cheaper at most junior colleges versus universities. But, you're doing that. You're trying to get ahead academically. I mean, at least for me, I worked almost my entire time that I physically could when I wasn't injured to help, pay for that. And then, practice schedule. And, a lot of people come from different backgrounds to junior college. And so you meet a lot of people from different walks of life who are looking to make it in different areas. And it's all on you. And there's not as much like pressure, I would say. And then at UCLA, hey, you have a lot more resources that I did not have available to me in junior college. At least I was attracted to UCLA because just the standard of excellence, not only academically, athletically, especially for track and field, and specifically the throws events. UCLA having such a storied history under Art Venegas and, so countless, incredible athletes.
Oh, yeah.
I was up for the challenge, and I knew I had a long way to go. And dude, I basically got hit with as much like, oh, you think you want to be good at this? Like as much adversity I think is possible my first year, upon transferring in. I ended up fouling almost half of my throws.
Wow.
My first season, which then culminated in a fouling out at the 2017 regionals, NCAA regionals. Oof. And I was just like, I could not believe it, because I'm like, shoot, man, like I believe in myself that I can compete at this level, and I just did not have a good season. I gotta make some changes. And I too was kind of like, hey, like you're at UCLA, you're supposed to perform well, like what's going on? And that summer I just went to work with my junior college coach. I'm like, hey, here are my goals. Like I'm going to perform well at regionals. I don't care how, like when, what the deal is, this is happening. And we just got to work, and I worked with my college coach. I'm like, hey, I'm going to make it to the NCAA championships. How do you think I can do this? And let's do it. And we just got to work. I had a calendar countdown leading to regionals. Funny enough, it ended up being on my birthday as well. Nice. And so I was like, all right, like this is either you do it or this is just not happening.
You know what though? I do like, what you said, and you are proof, like you don't have to go to D1 right away. It's not always where you start, it's where you finish. Because we have a lot of kids who listen here who I think there's this infatuation you always have to go to D1. There's so many wonderful programs out there that are D3, junior college, D2, NIA. I mean, like it's not always where you start, it's where you finish. And there's great coaches everywhere.
Absolutely. And two, I want to bounce off that point, Dave. I am so grateful I went to junior college to really learn and build the foundations to what it takes to succeed at the Division I level. And to that point as well, my coach would say I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like, hey, I'm ready to transfer. Like, let's get this show on the road. I ended up spending nearly 3 years in junior college.
Wow.
That's awesome. That was not the plan, but that's what happened. And I'm so glad it did happen that way. And I'm always a big supporter of junior college athletes. Like, if you got a dream that you can do it, do it.
So my question for you is, what was your reception with some of the other athletes when you're there? Because the throwing community is a small community, very tight knit, and kind of, I feel like when you get to a certain level, everyone kind of knows who everyone is by the time you're getting to that big D1 level.
Yeah.
What were the guys like for you, kind of being this upstart, coming from JUCO, starting really late? Were they kind of cool? Like not only just the UCLA guys, the other guys you were competing against with like, hey, don't do this. Like you're dropping your elbow here, like little like minor things, like to know that you're like that raw and inexperienced, and and were you receptive to some of the veterans just like coming over and just being like, try not to do that type of deal?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I would say that some of my teammates who didn't even throw the hammer, they would give me advice, and I'm like, dude, you don't even do this. It was it was great, and I was fortunate to be surrounded by so many great, not only great athletes, but great people. And, definitely a lot of people took me under their wing, and I'm very grateful for them. Too many individuals to name, but I was given a lot of great advice, and even, guys from other schools were really cool. Like I know Jordan said it in the last podcast that, there's time to talk in between throws, and you get to know everybody, and, in and outside of competition. And it like you said, it's a close knit group. Everybody's great, very supportive of each other. It was definitely a learning curve for me though, of like, throwing into junior college, and I was throwing pretty decently before I transferred. And then afterward, it just didn't happen. And, I'm still working hard, but it's just like, there's, making technical changes and things like that. And I didn't have the perspective that I do now of like, hey, like, why am I not like, hey, I'm here now at UCLA. Like, why am I not competing well? And I didn't realize like, there is that, you go up one level. Hey, there's another learning curve and process to succeed at the next level.
Well, yeah, because the training changes, and it's like what were you doing in high school is nothing compared to what you're doing at JUCO. What you were doing at JUCO, then you get to UCLA, and it's like, no, 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 whole new lifting program. We have a different philosophy for how we do the throws and the hammer, and these are the different things we want you to do. Plus, this is the nicest friggin' circle you've ever seen in your existence. We're on circle 3 instead of circle 6 today. Like, it's like, all those differences. And I can imagine, even like the educational side had to be different because UCLA is a challenging school. It is an Ivy of the West. All the UCs are incredible in academics. So I can imagine all that being thrown at you. Plus, the tempting or partaking in the nightlife, right? Because it's a major university, and you probably, I'm not going to say anything. You were probably eyes on the prize, and earmuffs for anyone that's listening if you weren't. But it's like there's all those different things that go on in college. A lot of different things that pull you away. And when you're an elite athlete and you have these aspirations, the ability and the discipline to know when and when not to in these things often makes or breaks a lot of people, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'll even say for the academic side, I remember I had a good GPA coming out of junior college, a lot higher and I was like a 3.5 student out of high school. Yeah. Not bad, especially in 2014. But I mean, now it's going to be the whole nother world. But I was a 3.7 or 3.8 out of junior college, and that transfers pretty much anywhere. And so I came in thinking, all right, like, hey, I'm a good student now. Learned how to study the hard way at junior college. Like, I'm ready to go. And my first midterm was, I think it was like a geology class or something like that. And I was like, all right, we got this. And I left the class thinking like, all right, I did well on this test. Like, I know I did 61%. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
So I have, I mean, that's funny.
I was over 3.0. I was 3.01 or something like that.
Again, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. But
and C's get degrees, okay? C's get degrees.
C's do get degrees. But so here's a question. I mean, I'm not sure how much you are still invested in the whole college landscape, but what do you think about like UCLA is going to go in the Big Ten or all this NIL money? Do you feel that the whole atmosphere in college has changed and it's more of a pro setting now for certain schools and certain athletes, or do you think it's still that like college feel?
Amateur-esque.
So that's a good question, and I would say that I am still involved. Like, obviously, hey, I'm right. Very fortunate to be a volunteer assistant at Kansas State University.
Love that.
I've got a great experience. I also have 2 younger siblings who are both throwers at UCLA.
Nice.
And they're having a great time. But I do think that the landscape has completely changed. NIL has, changed the game for really forever, I think, for college sports. And then now with the conferences, all these changes going on, schools are now having to factor in different considerations when planning out their competition schedule. I mean, I really feel for some of these Olympic sports where, hey, you're competing not once a week, but maybe 2 or 3 times a week across the country and having to navigate that with an academic workload of, a lot of these schools. Let me rephrase this. It basically is a kind of a prep for the professional athlete lifestyle. Right. Hey, you got a lot going on. You have to be on top of your game all the time. And it's, I'm sure it's going to be a big learning curve for basically everybody probably for the first few years. But there's a lot of opportunities in it and a lot of difficulties. It's just a new situation.
It's one of the only times there's a value. There's a value to the way we do things in track where they're big invitationals, right? So it's like you're traveling, but it's every weekend. And obviously dual meets are a thing in the past. Some special ones like still hold on. Some big tri meets that are well known. They still happen, I guess, in Ivy. Big Ten does a few, but it's like for the most part, they're not there. You go to your conference meet at the end after a bunch of little individuals. So I do want to ask this to you. And this kind of gets into your mentality because, you mentioned we had Jordan Geist on a few weeks ago and we talked to a whole bunch of athletes. And one of the things that we've always tried to do is figure out a way to get you guys paid, right? You're a pro athlete. You should be making money for what you do at competitions. Why continue to push and do everything you're doing? Get over a broken back, volunteer at K-State, try to, join this collective with the GoFundMe stuff, which we'll talk about, to continue to be a pro in a sport where even if you go out and maybe win a world title, right? As a hammer thrower, there isn't a ton of money yet, right? why continue to go? Like, what is the drive that keeps you going there? Because I think people need to hear this with track athletes, because a lot of the times it's real easy to give up. Like, obviously, you're an elite athlete. You probably could have went and maybe done something somewhere else and potentially gotten to a pro level, right?
Yeah.
Why continue to drive in a sport where even big meet directors are like, yeah, go in a corner and throw heavy things? Like,
they don't always give back what is put into it by the athletes, and that's what frustrates us.
Yeah. So what is the drive? Why keep going?
Because I love the sport. And it's just this challenge that I've had. Like, Hammer is the most difficult sport I've ever done, and that's why I'm still doing it, because it's like I'm the artist with the big like block of marble, and I'm just sculpting away because I see this throw that I have, and I'm just building on it. I'm working toward it every day. It's like track and field is like it's like, for me, it's like my personification of personal excellence. It's like my avenue to do that. So it's like, after I broke my back, I really feel like I was given a second chance really at life. And, thank God I made a full recovery. And I thought, like, all right, like, you owe it to a lot of people to be the best that you can be. And track really afforded me that opportunity. And so, like, yeah, I was post-collegiate. In fact, I remember my first post-collegiate meet was a Long Beach State. And there was a former professional who, he was like, do you really want to do this? Like, you threw well, but not like great out of college. This is not an easy road. And fast forward 5 years, it is not. It is difficult. But it's just like, are you sure? And I love the sport. I believe in my potential. I've been fortunate to have had great coaches my whole career. And, I found a way. And the post-collegiate life as a thrower is, it's not for everybody. It's a lot of sacrifice. It's a lonely road at times. You're having to work to support yourself. Then COVID happens, and then you're told, oh yeah, all your hard work is really up in the air and probably just won't manifest.
Wow.
And at that point too, so after I graduated from UCLA, I decided to move back home, live with my parents for a year. We had an agreement of, hey, you're going to live at home, train for the Olympic trials, and then you're out. And for me, I was stoked because I lived at home for like 3 years after high school. Coming back, I was like, oh man, but hey, I'm so grateful, very close to my family. Not thank them enough for their support, and just, just love and support throughout this journey. But anyway, so I'm at home, and then I'm at the junior college for about 3 months or so, and training's going well. And then we're told that the junior college decided to make renovations to the athletic facilities, and the hammering is being scrapped, and it's going to turn into a tennis court facility. And so I was like, all right, cool. Well, that's great. And so now my 15-minute drive has now turned into 45 minutes because the next closest place is like Cal State Fullerton, basically, when I can, or different junior colleges. And then when that didn't work, we eventually weren't able to do that consistently. We had to go to Cal Poly Pomona, which was an hour and a half from my parents' house, do that drive multiple times a week. And that just kind of, it was frustrating in the moment, but at the same time, it built that extra, I think, just resilience needed to keep going as a post-collegiate. And there were so many times when I wanted to quit, and I'm like, you know what, I've already gone this far. You might as well just keep going. Like, it's going to happen. It's going to work out. You just got to trust it. And then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish up.
Oh, well, so then COVID happens. We can't go to any universities. And, me and my sister, who's now a junior at UCLA, we would wake up super early in the morning, go to a local park, do turns, do whatever we can. I'm sure some people were like walking their dogs. What the heck is wrong with these kids? On a hammer, on a basketball, not throwing it, but, doing turns and stuff early in the morning. But yeah, got to do what you got to do to stay in the sport.
That's awesome. So really quick,
go ahead.
How attractive is, Michael Johnson just announced that he wants to do the league and he wants to make it, it seems like one for people that aren't necessarily going to Diamond League and getting all the exposure for, come here, run races, throws, jumps, get exposure,
get paid,
get everyone on TV, get paid. How attractive is that for someone like yourself who, is an Olympic hopeful, who is on the bubble right around there, right? Like, not necessarily breaking in and making these big national performances at the pro level yet, but is obviously a pro and a talented thrower, like someone that could definitely use this exposure to get sponsorships. Is that an avenue that you're already exploring to try and get into? And how pumped were you when his face popped up on Twix and was like, hey, this is what I'm doing?
Yep. Hey, I saw that on Instagram. I sent it to my coach. I sent it to my training partners, and a few other people. I'm like, all right, there are opportunities. They're out there. I mean, I appreciate how you guys are always, thinking of new ideas for how to build exposure in the sport. And I talk about that with my friends all the time. I'm like, all right, there's got to be a way. Like, can we not do like a big track meet, like at the management facility, like make it a big party? We do this like Augusta, when there's not golf, like coming into a track meet, because obviously Eugene has it down. The fans are super passionate. You're not telling me if there's better marketing, like if we had, like something like the Ultimate Fighter, but for track athletes.
Yeah.
Do something like that people wouldn't be interested. I mean,
I would pay to watch the throwers fight. I would pay to watch to sit there and like after a shot gets thrown, like you have to try and not get scared before you go pick up your own shot. Like that would be awesome.
And two, my high school coach had this great idea. Why not do a huge track meet like on the beach, like Huntington Beach, or
they do a pole vault thing over in Diego.
Yes, yeah. So they do that, and then also too in Memphis, I really like that they do that, the pole vault like on the main street.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities, and we're just not. It just hasn't happened yet. But hopefully, with Michael Johnson and I think the Winners Alliance, it's the most, from what it sounds like, from what I've read, the most capital put into a professional track and field league or opportunity. Yeah. So that's really exciting.
And, someone like Michael Johnson, he has cachet. Like he comes across to me as a guy who just gets shit done.
And he's on the USATF competition committee, isn't he? Or has been. Like,
well, so I know he was working for BBC.
I think so, but he's someone that understands, like, the ins and outs of the business side of it too. And like Dave said, he has cachet and he already has this agreement. And he's someone that if Michael Johnson's the face of it, other people might want to be like, okay, let's throw a few million at this. Like, let's get this going.
We need exposure. And I think, Noah and Fred going back and forth. And I love RG3 saying, hey, Kristen Coleman, if you can break 4 seconds into 40, I'll give you $100,000. Like, I've already run 4-1 2 years ago. Like,
and the track community going to war for get the individual that ran like a 4.21. It's faster than Usain Bolt. And everyone's like, and that's when RG3 put it up. It was like Christian Coleman ran a 4.12. Like these guys, like people, I love that RG3 is such an ambassador, being a former football star as well, but coming back and being like, y'all don't know speed. Like, you don't understand speed. Like, you want to talk about some strength and things. Like, you guys don't understand the track athlete. And we need him and Emmanuel Acho is another guy like that who is great in terms of putting track athletes up there with the other elite.
And it's nice to know someone who is associated with the NFL is like, all right, guys, stop. Like, those guys are faster than, Tyreek Hill's fast, and who maybe he could have had something in track. I don't blame him for going football. He's made millions of dollars, but like that guy who ran 4.21 is not Usain Bolt. So stop it.
No, and it's nowhere near. So, and honestly, if Jordan's not, I know since you listen to the episode, if Jordan's not going to do the idea of making TikToks of just grabbing random stranger stuff and launching it with form, I think you need to do it. Like a harmless orb. Harmless orb and just like capture someone's belongings and just like hammer throw it into the ether. Like just have like a very like non-lethal hammer-esque thing and just be like, can I see that? Put it in an orb, close it up and just launch it and just have people's reactions like the hell, like throw it across a parking lot.
I think
it works for Nick Simmons.
Yeah,
it works for Nick.
I think there's some here, but also too, I think that, and I know people say, oh, well, it's the Olympic year, so that's why track and field is getting exposure. Yes. This starts in an Olympic year, goes great. That gives all the momentum needed to really get this thing over the hump that hasn't happened in the past before.
I think coming off last year's World, there's still a little bit of a positive vibe because it was such a great meet last year. So I'm hoping that 2 years in a row, and we had the Olympics the year prior. So I'm hoping that, and it's a weird cycle for the athletes going 3 straight years, but I'm hoping that it'll bring more attention. And can we get it on regular television away from a paywall? Like I know that the Olympics are going to be on NBC and CMC fine, but like it's either on Flow Track or it's on Peacock. Like, where am I finding these meets? That's a problem, I think.
I totally agree. And also, I mean, hey, respect to all high level athletes. You're telling me that we can have, cornhole and bowling on ESPN, like sometimes prime time hour. And again, respect to these great athletes.
Pete Weber, you think you are? I am. Like, exactly. That's awesome.
Pickleball. I mean, I like watching it, but like,
Yeah.
People want to see that. People also want to see people going as fast as humanly possible, jumping as high as possible, and throwing these ridiculously heavy objects as far as possible. That's incredible.
And you know what? And here's the thing, and I'm sorry, and people might dislike me for this, but there are a lot of good-looking individuals at the top of their freaking game right now in track and field. Noah Lyles is a handsome man. Sydney McLaughlin-Lavone is gorgeous. You have good-looking people putting him out in the front. Ryan Krauser should be marketed to CMT yesterday. Why isn't he on the face of country music television? He looks like he can go hang out with Phil Robertson and fit in with Duck Dynasty. Like, he looks like that type of guy. Like, where are the marketing opportunities?
And then throws it 76 feet.
Mondo Duplantis should be selling cologne. Like, he belongs on like a Christian Dior like cologne thing. Like, let him high jump over a giant pole vault over a giant bottle of like cologne or something. Like, we should be there should be these.
Make sure that's trademarked, then.
And when you're
talking in nobles first,
when you over a bottle of cologne.
Yeah, but it's like when the thing is, every other sport, when you have these major people and they're decent looking, they put them out front. Tom Brady, it looks like, a debonair guy. So what they do, they put him in everything. Uggs are disgusting. They sold Uggs because Tom Brady put his feet in it, right? So it's like, you'd rather have Tom Brady than Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning's forehead's the size of Toledo, and I don't like Peyton Manning anymore. He talks too much crap about the Jets. Anyway, but the thing is, when other sports have these individuals, they push them, right?
Yeah.
We are sitting there, not only do we have amazing athletes, but they're also easy on the freaking eyes. Let's do something here. I don't understand why, their agents aren't doing more. And I blame this a lot on the agents and maybe coaches protecting them a little, but there needs to be more, and it would be better for the sport. And I feel like a guy like Noah Lyles, if you just told Noah, like, hey, go do this, he seems like probably the type of guy that would be like, is it benefiting the sport? Sha'Carri is all in on getting the athletes paid and getting the sport more exposure.
Yeah.
Where's Sha'Carri Richardson's deals? Like, it's insane that there are so many of these high-level athletes, and we could go on for a whole 9 episodes, which we do every episode going on about this. It's great.
I'll say with that, like we talked about earlier with NIL, I think that now that a lot of pros are seeing the opportunities coming up for collegiate athletes, I think it is inspiring a lot of, maybe if an athlete is based in a smaller market, but at least my philosophy is like, hey, if you've been in some area, like, just go local, go where you have your relationships built. And you can have, honestly, I just think amazing opportunities are available. Yeah. But going back to the NIL, I think a lot of athletes see this now as an opportunity for like personal agency, whether they have an agent or not. Of like, hey, I'm seeing a college athlete get paid several $1,000s to promote one post on Instagram sometimes.
Well, I mean, listen,
their money's out there. You just got to get it.
I mean, there was the whole debate with Caitlin Clark. Like, she could have probably made more if she stayed at Iowa next year. But I mean, she is going pro. But like, there was more money for her to stay in college now than there is. It's crazy.
I mean, and we see that across. And like, look at, your UCLA compatriot, Olivia Dunn. She is one of the, if not the highest paid NIL athlete in the country. And she's gymnastics. Don't get me wrong. She's high level gymnastics. She's fantastic. But she's one of the highest paid. So there, like you said, there is money out there. The Olympic athletes can go get it. So, I'm interested to see where it goes, and hopefully the NIL helps. So I want to jump into a little more technicalities with you, because now we're done, bitching and moaning. We'll whine a little more later probably. But I want to
problem solving.
Yes, we're trying to.
Some
of the more intricacies.
On a small budget.
On no budget. Intricacies with the hammer. So
sure.
If someone is sitting there looking at it, and I know in Jersey, we don't have the hammer throw, and a lot of high schools don't have the hammer throw around the country because it is a dangerous thing, especially if you're telling like a 15-year-old to pick it up and try and do it. They might wrap their chain around themselves, and it does get done. It gets dangerous, right? That can happen. So when someone who's a thrower, maybe a shot and discus thrower, a decent thrower in high school, good, when they're sitting there and potentially thinking about grabbing the hammer, maybe grabbing the weight indoors, where should their mindset be when they're going into there as opposed to other throwing events?
It's a lot more relaxed, and it's a lot more doing everything by doing nothing. And it's in a unique paradox. And again, this is what keeps me in it, because it sometimes can be so frustratingly challenging, I guess would be a better word. But the feeling you have when you hit a throw is just, it feels great. And it's like this mix of physics, footwork, finesse, all of this that comes together in this like really just creative movement, and just to see the ball like and feel the tension and speed of the implement going around you when you're just chilling basically is a great feeling. And I think it also too, for any younger shot discus athletes listening, it helps make you a better shot putter or discus thrower. Gives you a lot more kinesthetic awareness.
So
I have a question for you.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
So, I mean, shot put, discus, we've had a lot of Americans place. I mean, obviously we have Krauser and Kovacs and these guys. Do you think that because a lot of high schools don't throw the hammer, that we are set behind as a country because people aren't picking it up till college? Or do you think that it's better that we don't throw young because you only have so many throws with, in your body?
So I think that so the United States has just skyrocketed as a hammer throwing country in this past Olympic cycle, from Rio to Tokyo. And then now I think even more so going into Paris. Like, I am all in on American hammer.
Yes.
We got it going on. We really do. To answer your question, though, I do think that a lot of athletes would benefit starting younger. I know I for sure would have. I thought about that a lot. Obviously, hey, I embrace my journey for what it is. But, a lot of these competitors internationally who have been in the game for a long time, they've been in the game for a long time since they've been very young. And so it is like a lack of exposure for sure. But also, too, I've never met someone who saw the hammer and was like, oh, that's lame. Other than myself when I started throwing it. But everybody's like, oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I mean, because what person doesn't just want to grab something and just spin around and throw it? Like, it's an innate thing that you just do as a kid. Like, let me see how far I can spin and throw.
Yeah, let me see how far I can throw this thing. And I mean, seriously, I've never met someone who saw it who was like not impressed by it.
Right. I mean, I think the issue in high school is probably, I think Jordan talked about it and brought up some good points, is, how expensive it is to have a cage at a high school. It's astronomical.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you, being a hammer thrower, and with that, is there a way to make it safer? Can you potentially like shorten up, the length of the chain and things like that to make it a little bit safer, to make it maybe a little bit easier to directionally throw, so that yes, they're getting the motion, they're learning it, but it maybe isn't as erratic, so that when they get to the next level, like, because the shot put obviously goes from 12 to 16. So it's almost, you're using the same thing, but now you're kind of resetting because maybe your form changes a little with the weight. Like, so is there a way where they can maybe modify it at the high school level to make it safer and maybe less effective? Or is it kind of one thing where it's like, if you're not doing it at the proper way, you're not going to...
They have the weight throw for indoors, but even that here, they don't have it because they don't have space at a lot of these facilities. Like, they just don't have room to throw it.
Yeah, so I would say, and right now, so at the high school level, for the states that do host the hammer throw at the high school athletic competitions, it's a lighter implement. So the wire is still the same length, but for boys, it's 12 pounds, and then that goes to 12 pounds and then to 6 kilos for like a junior level, like U20s, and so that's 13.2 pounds. And then, once you turn 18 or go to college, then it's the 16-pound implement. And so for girls, it basically stays the same weight. But
so it's like shot put in that.
Yeah, so it's essentially like the shot put. So to your point about wire length, that's interesting. I don't think they should do that because it won't go as far, and it's just fun to see something go far. For the safety aspect, as long as you make sure the cages are, thoroughly closed and, all the bolts and stuff are screwed in correctly, it's going to be safe. And obviously everybody has to have their eyes on the ring. But it's just a fun event. And it needs more exposure.
We throw javelin, but, when I was in high school, they just changed it where you have to have a rubber tip on the end of it now in high school, because there was a kid, a person in Jersey who got impaled right through their neck.
Oh my gosh.
25 years, so they said, all right, we need a rubber tip on it now, which people had to get used So that change, it affected how it flew in the air.
Yeah. So I have a suggestion. Let's just take away the cage altogether and just make it fun. Make it a
that's kind of what I've been doing post collegiately. Sometimes you do what it takes, you know.
Just take away the cage altogether. Make it fun. Everyone needs to have their head on the swivel. Like do a date. Like maybe make like the whole entire circle like just a giant like like whatever like 20 whatever it is, however far, 70, 80. Feel like make it huge so that any direction it goes, you'll be safe. Make everyone have to sit in like high stands. Like that would be fun. Just take away the cage.
Well, I mean, listen.
Would that get more eyes on the sport? Probably.
Hell, I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's like the new thing. Long jump rule, like just throw it anywhere, throw it any way.
That's going to be the new thing. It's going to be like a circle and then all circular everywhere, plus a like no foul, like a foul zone.
The whole thing is a one giant sector.
You're just going to do 3 turns and just launch it in any direction. It all counts. Like, what do you think?
So what do you guys think about like a range throwing competition? You know, hey, there's a trash can at 80 meters. If you throw it direct, it's like darts, but with the hammer.
That would be sick.
We just got to get skilled.
Or if like you had like different levels, like if you had like, here's a trash can at like 40 meters, 50 meters, 60 meters, and the goal is to try and get it in. Instead, like try and like
you can make it like Top Golf, like Top Hammer.
Why not do it like a college basketball halftime show where the kid hits half court shot to win X.
He's got to hit half court hammers.
You're telling me you wouldn't tune in to watch a hammer thrower throw a hammer inside a trash can or something for $100,000? Like,
especially if the audience couldn't move. Like, all right,
and also, no, this could be fun though. Actually, honestly, I'm not even kidding. Maybe we could talk to Jordan. Maybe we can get Kirk, and even maybe Hyatt. We can maybe get Dave Alfano involved. This could be fun if we did a skills competition amongst the throwers.
Yeah,
like where shot, disc, hammer, jab, where there's like obviously the lengths are going to be different, right?
Yeah, but there's accuracy
to make it like accuracy and point system.
Yeah,
and have like teams, like Team Hammer, team, and we'll make Jordan choose. Then we'll have like different teams, and you guys can compete, and it could be like a fun thing. And then like we can obviously do like a wing eating contest because it's a bunch of throwers. So let's also throw that.
Absolutely.
And
kind of like an all-star game, but for track and field. Like an all-star game skills competition.
For throwers only. Because you want to know, let's get the throwers some exposure. Because if we had an all-star game with the sprinters, that's kind of the Diamond League. So let's just do only the throwers. Like there's only so much, or we can have the throwers try and like outrun your hammer as like you throw it. See how fast see if they can sprint faster than where you go. This could be some fun stuff. Like have Grant Holloway try and hurdle faster than the javelin. Like let's do this. I think this could be great.
Yeah, we got the Diamond League for the sprinters, and we got the Platinum Premier for the throwers.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah, I like that name. Platinum Premier is a dope name. So, this has been lots of fun. So I want to talk about before we go. We obviously mentioned this the Trackstar.me 2024 Olympic Hopeful Series. Now I mentioned there is a crowdfunding thing going on with a GoFundMe with you and 7 other individuals, right?
Yes.
You're all trying to get together. Now, do you want to do a quick explanation of what is the purpose of this GoFundMe and what are you guys trying to get out of it and accomplish with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am fortunate to be a part of a collective crowdfunding initiative through Trackstar.me that helps support Olympic hopefuls like myself, where hey, a lot of people don't realize all the costs accrued to keep the journey going. And track it's cutthroat. And so, hey, if you're not at the top, then, that's kind of it. And so anyway, for individuals like myself who've just been, steadily putting in work, rising through the ranks every year, this is such a huge benefit to athletes like myself where, honestly, like, hey, I'm volunteer assistant coaching. And this past year, like I've been door dashing. And other years, I had to work a full-time job to support myself in Southern California where the gas is, $6.75 and all that. But, opportunity came up with my coach and, hey, I'm not going to be working full-time. I'm going to be training full-time. And thank God I have been. But anyway, that's just one example. Like, you hear about people like Kurt Warner where they're working in the grocery stores, at night. But then, hey, they hit it big. And I know that I believe in my potential, and I know that these individuals involved in this crowdfunding collective, feel extremely strongly about their capabilities. And so Any donations would be greatly appreciated. And it would just be a huge, massive benefit to athletes like myself where, hey, we got to pay for our flights. We got to pay for hotels or Airbnbs, the food, nutrition, the recovery modules, and access to, like a athletic training team or weightlifting gym fees. I can go on and on, like vehicle expenses. This helps cover that, and it would be a tremendous gift for support games through this crowdfunding initiative.
I mean, so I just want to give the address. It's not a GoFundMe. I'm correct. It is a Give Send Go.
Right.
So
yes. Not a GoFundMe.
Yep. www.givesendgo.com/GBKDF. If you go there, we'll put it also in the show notes so they can access it right away. And anything you can give, if you can give $5 today, $1, $1,000 would be awesome. But whatever you can give right now to go and help these individuals on this journey, because your little bit that you give could be the difference between eating a healthy meal that day, being able to sit there and get a better meal that goes in with the program, or going, well, shit, I need to get McDonald's tonight. It is a difference between allowing these athletes to do the elite athlete thing and continue to do what they need to do in order to train. So once again, givesendgo.com/GBKDF. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it just baffles my mind that, would you ever think of anybody, even on a practice squad in football, they're getting all of their meals, they're getting free trainers, it baffles my mind that we have someone like Justin here or Jordan Geist, who was third in the U.S. Nationals, and he doesn't have a sponsor.
Eric Sawinski,
Eric Holtz.
There's so many individuals, and even someone like yourself, Justin, you are at an elite level. You are one of the best hammer throwers in the country, and you should go for nothing and just show up every day to a training facility, lift and throw and work. And hopefully we can, with this as well and all this and Michael Johnson's exposure, our show, things like Sidious Mag that do an awesome job. We can get you guys what we need to get there. So anything else you have to say about the campaign?
About the campaign, hey, it's a great opportunity for if you're a track and field athlete at any level, from youth, youth, high school, collegiate, professional. This is a great opportunity to get your name out there more. If you're a track and field fan, this is a great way to interact with your favorite athletes. And two, for those post-collegiates and professionals looking for sponsorship, I know that the team at trackstar.me is working very hard to get sponsorship opportunities, up and coming and off the ground and running and, getting ready to go. And so I'm fortunate to, have been able to keep in contact with Kirk and to learn more about it and be able to help out however I can. It's been a great opportunity. And, like you said, Alex, for those listening, you want to know that you've helped an Olympic hopeful make the team. This is a great way to know that your funds are directly going to the athletes. It's split amongst all 8 of us. And so, again, would be greatly appreciated.
So just one thing to piss off everybody here. Practice squad NFL players, they make $12,000 a week or $216,000 for the 18 weeks. If you have 2 years experience, though, you make $16,100 a week, $289,800 for the 18, a maximum, just, a petty maximum of $20,600 per week, $370,800 for the 18 weeks. So that is a practice squad NFL player that, if you're looking at, I guess, the perspective, Justin would be a starter. Would be a starter on a pro team in terms of how his level. Yep. And you would be looking at some of these collegiate individuals that are maybe trying to kick and scratch in these pro meets or whatever. They would maybe be considered like your practice squad guys. So there's levels to this, and we need to make sure that guys like Justin are getting paid appropriately for their talents. So
absolutely.
Before we jump off, we kind of touched a little bit, but I want to get your perspective, Justin. If you had a magic wand and if you could fix this sport to make it so that individuals like yourself get paid, so that casual fans will come and watch it more, what would be a change that you would make in order to make that happen? Loaded question, I know.
Hey, that's a great question. I know we've had a lot. We've discussed a lot of great ideas.
Yeah.
Really just more TV time, just more exposure for the sport. Like, let's just get creative. Let's have more meets at the beach or at these runways, in big cities, different landscapes, make it interesting, get big sponsors involved. Like, it'd be a great event, make it a big party. I know it's happening already, but let's just keep it going. And I'm very excited for the future of track and field. I think we have a lot of positive momentum as a sport. And so the time is now to tune in and, keep up to date with all the athletes. It's an exciting time for the sport.
Olympic year, capitalize on it.
Yep.
In the very near future, we're going to be going live doing these interviews. Right now, this is recorded. So I would love to have you back on when we eventually go live so that, if people are listening and stuff, they could chat and they can ask you questions and they can get involved, because I feel like that could be another way. If we can get people that, even if they're track fans and they hear different answers and things from you, that would be awesome too. So we definitely want to have you back on at some point when we go live, because I absolutely enjoyed this conversation. I thought it was awesome.
Thank you, guys. I would love to be back on. Was an absolute pleasure speaking with you both. Would be more than happy to do it again. Looking forward.
Do you have an Instagram or a Twix that you can? And by the way, I call X Twix because an Instagram or a Twix or anywhere that people can find you.
Yeah, I would say the best place is Instagram, and it is at Justin M. Staff.
All right, so go find them at Justin M. Staff on Instagram. And as for us, if you like what you heard, give us a like, share, follow, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, Spotify and iTunes. Go look for us on YouTube. I have the YouTube up to date, Talking in Ovals. Go look for us. Go give a subscription there. All the episodes are up to date a day or so after they air or they get released. So go over there if you want to go and support us. Give us a subscription, and that'll be the way that when we go live, you'll be able to see our shows, because when we go live, we'll be going live on YouTube. So that'll be the best way. If you're already subscribed there, once we get to that process, you'll get the notifications and know when we're doing our interviews and such. Also, if you want to go find us on the socials at Talking in Ovals, just go look for us there. We are everywhere. So Dave, anything else you have to say before we jump out of here?
No, I'm just so excited to give these athletes this platform and to be able to hear their wonderful stories, and hopefully the good fight that we're all trying to fight here, someone like Justin who decides to make that leap to go pro can have all of the benefits that will show all of his hard work, and that he'll get paid and that he'll be comfortable, because it's just crazy and it just pisses me off.
Yeah,
that we're here.
And and I have to say, I am falling in love with all the throwers and stuff that we're having, because Dave and I, we're a couple middle distance schlubs, and all the throwers and the different individuals and different disciplines that
I love it.
We didn't have a chance to experience, hearing all the technicalities and the passion and everything and all the other stuff going on. I'm loving it. I'm getting educated, and it's making me, just love and enjoy the sport that much more. So once again, Justin, thank you so much for coming on. We wish you all the luck. You've definitely gained 2 fans here.
Absolutely.
Keep in touch with us. If you have any PRs, we want to announce them. So when you throw a PR, let us know, and we want to give you a shout out on Talking in Ovals, damn it. So you need to let us know when that happens. But
I will keep you posted.
Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week with another amazing guest. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. So long.